everybody, and welcome to Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome to the Northgate Mall. That's right, we're on to the second video of my Cincinnati trip, and this is a doozy. You know, the Northgate Mall here is definitely Cincinnati's deadest mall, as it is down to its last leg. When I was here, there was only less than 10 tenants, and honestly, I think it's only a matter of time before the whole mall closes, as an entire wing leading up to where Macy's used to be is already completely blocked off. That's why this video is a little bit short, because one wing of the mall is already blocked off, so that definitely limits the ability of this video. Now, before we get into the history, I'd like to apologize now if the video is a little bit unsteady for my standards. I was not super pleased with the video, but I still want to get it up anyway, because this will be my only trip to this mall, because this mall didn't have much time left. But the main reason why I was being so careful here was because security has been tough there. I've heard many people been getting yelled at for recording, and therefore I had to really hide my camera to be discreet, as right in the middle, you guys will see me abruptly stop my video because this first clip, that's where the two security guards were sitting. So I also had my camera off of the handle, so that made the quality of the video a little bit up to my standards, but I hope you guys enjoy anyway, as this could be one of the last looks inside this mall, as there's not much time left. Anyway, on the history of this mall. So, construction on the mall began in 1970 on the site of a former airport. The mall officially opened on September 10th, 1972, anchored by Sears, McAlpin, and Pierogs, if I said that right. The mall also included a Kroger supermarket, so kind of unique to have a grocery store, as one of its main anchors. And this was the premier shopping mall for the northern hills of Cincinnati for many decades. And, it's kind of sad to see it in this state, and we'll get to there why it got there. But anyway, Pierogs became LS Ayres in 1986, but that would only last 4 years. In the 1988, JCPenney would be added to this mall. As throughout the 70s and 80s, this was a premier shopping mall, like I mentioned, in Cincinnati. As a matter of fact, Cincinnati Reds catcher Johnny Bench did have a restaurant in here. So that's kind of cool that arguably the greatest catcher of all time had this really cool restaurant, and it's obviously long gone, but still, that's kind of a cool fact. Now, this mall would have an expansion in the 1980s, as the wing that I mentioned that's now blocked off was added, and then a fourth anchor, Lazarus, was added in 1993, which 10 years later became Lazarus Macy's in 2003, and then 2 years later just became Macy's. Now, the Dillards became, in the McAlpin space, as they acquired that space in 1999, but it only lasts 10 years, as their anchor would close in 2009. But that would not be the first blow to this mall. The first blow came in 2006, right before the recession, as JCPenney closed their anchor store, which for these times to see JCPenney leave a mall is never a good sign. I mean, even them now leaving malls is pretty rare, but especially back then, they did not leave malls. And they left it to move to a nearby shopping plaza, the Stone Creek Town Center, which is still there. Now, that space would be demolished in 2007 for a construction of a 14-screen raised multiplex movie theater, but construction on the theater never began after the mall's then owners defaulted on a $74 million loan. So this mall's been having problems for almost 20 years, and it's kind of just been limping along, and I'll kind of give it a miracle that it's lasted as long as it has. But then in the 2010s, it really went downhill. And in 2012, the mall was sold to Buy Group, if said that right. And then the vacant Dillard's anchor store was divided into 4 big box stores in 2013. DSW, Marshalls, Michaels, and Ulta. You guys probably saw part of that space here in there now. A space briefly occupied by former labels in 2010 became Burlington Coat Factory in 2013, which is still there, but you guys can see straight ahead that mall entrance is now walled off. Well, not walled off, but it's like a gate there, so you can't access from the mall. At least you couldn't the day I was there. Now, in 2014, an H.H. Gregg store was also added as part of the old Dillard structure, but of course that closed in 2017 as the whole company later went belly up. Now, Now, Ashley Furniture also opened in 2014, but closed in 2024 when a nearby Ashley. So, things that, the owners have tried to bring national changes as junior anchors, but none of them have worked, as there also used to be a Marshall's here, but that would also move, like I mentioned before, and that's sad. Now, in 2018 would be a huge hold of this mall, as the last original anchor, Sears, closed as a part of a plan to close 46 stores nationwide and 3 stores in Cincinnati area, fast fact. And that left Macy's as the sole remaining anchor. Now, 2019, there'd be no changes, but then 2020, right before the COVID-19 lockdown, in January 2020, Macy's announced it was closing as part of a plan to close 125 stores nationwide. That left the mall with no traditional anchor stores, and as you guys know, that part of the wing is now completely walled off and can't see it anymore, which is kind of sad. At least I was able to see it from the outside. Also, the movie theater did close in 2023. Now, what's going on with this mall right now? Not really much. That owner I mentioned in 2012 still owns the mall, but they really haven't made any concrete evidence. I've heard that they maybe want to redevelop the mall, which I think at this point, I hate seeing malls close, but this mall is beyond savable. It is just too empty, and there isn't much left here. They said there's probably about 10 open businesses, and as you guys saw already or will see, something else is also leaving the mall as we spoke, which by now could all be gone for all we know. And honestly, it's a miracle that the Hot Topic is still there. But Hot Topic's one of those stores that seems to last as like the last traditional anchor store, as they're still at the Orlando Fashion Square, which, as you guys know from my channel, is pretty much extinct as well, has been dead for many years. But anyway, as you mentioned, as we walk through the food court now as we speak, I don't think this mall has much of a future. Honestly, this time next year, I'd be surprised if this mall is still open. They can't be making any money. All your anchor spaces, except for kind of the Burlington, are now completely empty. And as we speak, by the way, they are demolishing the former Sears building. It was still standing when I was there, and it was cool. I got to get some pictures. But as we speak, it is now being demolished, and there's done redevelopment with that. So as I mentioned, if you live anywhere near Cincinnati or anywhere within a day trip, I recommend going to the Northgate Mall, as I don't think it has very much time left. I just don't. There isn't many stores left, but if you guys think differently, you can feel free to comment down below, but I can't imagine too many people disagreeing with me. Just seeing the video I put together so far, you guys see there's not much going on here, and that's probably why the mall security is so strict, because I've noticed historically that usually the deader the mall, the more strict mall security is, because they don't want to admit that they've done a horrible job at running a mall and don't know what they're doing and the mall is dead. But anyway, I'm not getting into that ramble. It's not what this video is about. But if you guys do enjoy this video for what it was, as I said, I do apologize. It's not my most quality video, but I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys still enjoy, as we got to get a thorough look at this mall, minus the Macy's wing, as, that's gone. But in any event, I am going to sign off here. I will talk to you guys later. And for now, Alex Weinsheimer's out. And enjoy the rest of the video. Bye-bye, guys.